Beastcoast Pokemon. Today, Aaron and I are back for another Series 12 exhibition set. This time, we're getting a little bit serious. We're going to be using our regionals teams. He is going to be using his top 8 Salt Lake City Regional Championship team. Well, I'm going to be using a team I would have considered if I did go to Salt Lake City, as I did use it in the International Challenge. Should be fun. We both know each other's sets. Will be a very interesting one, to say the least. Let's get started and play some games.
Hey guys, Cybertron. Relax, I was just gonna get there. Anyway, as this little buddy was saying, 80% of you aren't subscribed to the channel, so hit that subscribe button. It really helps. Hey, what Pokemon are you?
Groudon, Whimsicott, Solgaleo, Charizard, Indeedee, and Mimikyu. Let us see, what do I want to go in this matchup? Because this matchup's actually quite difficult, I think, for me. Mainly because Solgaleo is a Pokemon that can dish out a lot of damage. I guess the one positive note about this Solgaleo is it doesn't have Rockfall, which makes it a little bit easier for my team. But yeah, this is still 100% tricky. The Groudon I do have to play around, and the Solgaleo is quite difficult here. I need to figure out a way to really break through the Solgaleo because it just does so much damage to my team.
James's team here is really cool because it has Weavile and Ditto as well. Both two Pokemon that I'm going to see are super popular. Weavile actually reminds me a lot of Alolan Persian, which I think both James and I had tried out because there was this one really good Kyogre Zacian team with Alolan Persian. And so Weavile's really fast fake out user, which is scary, and there's actually foul play on it as well.
Now, there are a few options that I'm looking for here. Ditto could be a really nice tool here because I can go for the copy the stats off Solgaleo and have that choice scarf, which could be really helpful here. So that's one option that I do have. I do like Zacian because if I'm not mistaken, the Solgaleo is a pretty frail variant, so I am going to be able to do a lot of damage with the Sacred Sword. I do really like that. I think Weavile is 100% safe here because it can stall out a turn using the... Ooh, well, I don't know if they lead Solgaleo. I don't think they lead Heart Charizard in this matchup. I don't think that'd be the case.
There are a lot of approaches here that we can take, but since it's a best of 3 here, I think I'm down to go for this. Mimikyu is also interesting because he can play rough. I'm mainly curious in the lead that James decides on here, I think, because that will dictate the pace of the battle. And, for example, if you lead Weavile, you normally want something like Zapdos or Kyogre or Zacian out next to it. You could go with Indeedee as well. But it's hard to feel comfortable with Mimikyu Soul or Groudon Soul in a game 1, I would say.
I think I want to go with my comfort. Like, I usually with this team, I would lead a lot of Weavile Zapdos, and then in the back is Kyogre Zacian mainly. So I kind of want to try it out for game 1 and just see how it goes, because I think the Icy Wind support, if they lead to Charizard, is really good. The Fake Out's pretty good against the Weavile potentially. Let's just see how we can approach this, because this is definitely difficult, because Aaron does have a lot of tools. The Scarf Groudon I have to play around, Follow Me, and Tailwind from the Whimsicott is going to be a little bit tough for me to break through. We just see the Indeedee plus the Charizard lead straight off the bat. Okay.
Yeah, so the idea here, turn 1, is I can just go for a Follow Me into... the question is whether or not I want to Airstream here, because he could just double up onto my Indeedee, right? So one play I could make is Follow Me into Wildfire, but then Zapdos could Airstream, and that would be bad. I think what's awkward here is Zapdos and Charizard both being max speed, and as a result speed tying.
Seeing Charizard here is really interesting because that means there's no Dynamax I have to worry about, and that is really positive right here. The problem is Charizard can go for a Rockfall or a Wildfire to get chip right off the bat, but I'd imagine you would rather get the Wildfire chip mainly here. I am max speed Zapdos, and I imagine they're max speed Charizard, so this could be a speed tie as well.
Honestly, I think turn 1 I'm down to just go for Follow Me, Dynamax, and just straight up Wildfire into Weavile, because I don't think I'm going to be able to keep up with him in terms of speed in this game anyway. So might as well just eliminate Weavile from the field and get the Wildfire, because he doesn't have any Fire-type Pokemon here. And so Wildfire gives me a lot of residual damage throughout the turns.
I think my safest play is just to Fake Tears and go for the Airstream immediately into my opponent, because I really do like the idea of going for the Fake Tears max Airstream in the Charizard, because if they go into Groudon, I get huge momentum I can win the Groudon immediately and winning the weather control. If they go for Follow Me, I probably knock out the Indeedee because of the Fake Tears bypassing the Psychic Seed, so the Indeedee will be at -1 and I'll get the speed increase, which is really good here. Okay, Zapdos does Dynamax here. Let's find out what they do here. Gonna be a Dynamax from the Charizard. Okay, I'm worried because if this is Whimsicott Groudon in the back, it definitely seems terrifying, and This might be Whimsicott Groudon in the back now that I'm thinking about it, because Tailwind Sunny Day is an option. We do see a Follow Me come out from the Indeedee, which is not too surprising. Okay.
That's not necessarily terrible for me. Yeah, the Weavile here is actually so interesting, because, like, that's not a Pokemon that I had on my radar, like, going into regionals at all, right? And so actually, because of the play he made, even if I went for Follow Me and Wildfire onto Zapdos, it wouldn't have worked out super well here. So we're going to bring Weavile down to 1 HP here.
We are going to see that Wildfire come out into the Weavile. So Weavile is going to go down this turn thanks to the Wildfire. And now I got to figure out a new game plan here, because this is definitely not super positive. Yeah, it's still very manageable, I think. I think I have to go hard Kyogre here.
The problem now is the free switch into Kyogre. I think I needed to bring Whimsicott in the back here, actually. Yeah. So it'd be interesting, because if I had Whimsicott, then I could just go Sunny Day into Wildfire on Zapdos, and that would actually probably win from this position. So, or sorry, not Sunny Day, Tailwind? Oh, no, that doesn't actually work out then, because I would need both Tailwind and Sun to be up. Anyway, Whimsicott's just an interesting consideration going into the subsequent game.
Because if Whimsicott's coming out like I think it is, I can get the Kyogre and pressure the Charizard at least, because I can go for Airstream Water Spout and they can't go... Yeah, I feel like that's better, because if I go Zacian, then it's just Tailwind Wildfire into Zacian. I think that's terrible. So I think I am forced to go out into Kyogre here. Let's find out if this is going to be the case.
What I could do is switch out into Groudon. This turn is so hyper offensive. It's like you either Lightning into Charizard and Water Spout. So like I could switch Charizard out into Groudon here and just Wild Charge.
Okay, no Whimsicott here. This is... Okay, I was not expecting Soul here. I was expecting Whimsicott. This changes it immensely here.
I should actually survive a Water Spout here though, which is good. But the problem is I've just taken so much damage across the board at this point. The other way I could have played this was switching Solgaleo out into Groudon and then going for like Wildfire onto Zapdos, but then the Kyogre as the speed boost.
Airstream plus Water Spout just seems like it would do so much damage right here, because no Whimsicott is just huge. They switch out to Charizard. Oh, is this Groudon coming in? I don't mind this either, because I get a huge Mystic Water Spout full power into the Groudon slot. This isn't Trick Room Solgaleo, right? I'm pretty sure it's not. Drought's gonna activate for the Groudon right here. Okay, perfect. Again, Airstream off into the Solgaleo. The reason I want to go for the Solgaleo is because if Charizard does go for the attack, it can only Wildfire one slot. And I feel like one Airstream is all really Kyogre needs to sweep here, because they need to KO Zapdos with Wildfire, which means they don't have an Airstream boost. Or if they target the Kyogre, I get a huge amount of damage to where I've already weakened them. I think I KO the Groudon, I get huge damage to Charizard, and then it like gets pressured by every other slot. And yeah, look at that damage that I did to their team. Beautiful. We are going to see a Wild Charge come out into the Kyogre, which is not able to pick up the knockout because the Kyogre on my side is decently bulky. And yeah, this is like a... I would have liked the Kyogre to actually go down here. The Kyogre going down would have actually been pretty pleasant for me. But yeah, I'm not going to complain about this spot. It's still pretty good for me.
Yeah, dealing with the Airstreams plus Icy Wind Pressure is a problem. I could also think about Trick Room actually in the next game. Trick Room is actually really interesting, I think. Like, the problem is that Kyogre will be faster than Charizard under Trick Room. As well as Solgaleo, actually. I think this game's pretty much over, so I'm trying to think what I can do in the next game, essentially. Because Weavile plus Zapdos is a huge, huge lead for him.
We do KO the Solgaleo to protect, which is awesome. Ice Beam is going to get fired off into the Groudon, and I definitely outspeed the Groudon with this Airstream boost on the Kyogre. And now with +2 Kyogre, Ice Beam is able to come out into the Groudon here and pick up the knockout. So, okay, that's nice. I am going to be able to fire off an Ice Beam into the Groudon here. Goodbye, Groudon. Yeah, okay, perfect. So Groudon does get eliminated, and it's just Charizard in the back, and
yeah, turn one, even if I Wildfire, the lead just didn't work out super well here, mainly because the Weavile had the fake tears, which adds a whole nother dimension, because you can actually just one-shot the Indeedee, and he found the best play on turn one. So I think the play is to go with Indeedee plus Mimikyu in the next game, use Indeedee, sacrifice the Indeedee, bring in Solgaleo, self-Shadow Sneak, activate Policy, and then go from there.
Yeah, this game one definitely went smoother. I didn't expect a Charizard Indeedee lead here. I was expecting Soul. I thought it would be like Soul and some kind of pressure with like Groudon or Indeedee potentially. I could have seen Aaron trying to like bait me to go for like attacks specifically, and switch into NDD and stall me out my max right there, and then the soul would have really been able to decimate me, get some max quake boost. It would have been pretty difficult, I think, but yeah, ended up being a better matchup right there because no Whimsicott.
The problem is that the Weavile Zapdos lead can just win the game on one turn. That's kind of actually felt like how it played out given the last term, or the last game. The other approach is to bring Charizard and just go for the max Airstream and play around the 50-50s with the speed ties. And if I win the speed tie, it puts me in a really good spot. But I don't love that. So I'm going to try the Trick Room out here and we'll see how it plays out. Okay. The fake tears on the Weavile is so cool here, though, because it allows them to just one-shot, like, pretty much every... Like, fake tears plus foul play is a nasty combo here, because I can't really adequately deal with either super well.
The only adjustments I could really see myself bring is Ditto over to Zacian, since I never even brought the Zacian out. So Zacian's still very useful at the end of the day, though.
Trick Room, yeah, it's just Weavile Zapdos again. I mean, so his play is to just go for a fake tears again, I would say, into a... Instead of Airstreaming this time, you could go for Lightning, change the terrain. One thing that is interesting is actually going for Protect here on NDD, but if I Protect and he goes, like, Foul Play into Mimikyu and Max Lightning into that slot, it's a disaster for me.
So we lead Weavile plus the Zapdos right here. I'm just really interested to see Trick Room here. I don't know if this is Trick Room, but I think it is, but yeah. Okay, we're gonna see the Psychic Seed come out from the Mimikyu, the NDD here. Yeah, I don't mind Trick Room here. I'm gonna Heat Wave here, and I'm gonna Foul Play.
Ooh, I like this play a lot. Okay, so you Foul Play here. Yeah, actually, I mean, there's really no need to max on turn 1 of this game, right? But I think that's very smart.
This is pretty interesting to me here. Okay, now they can't knock out my Weavile unless I think NDD is just Expanding Force Protect like a standard set. Play Rough could come out here, I suppose. I could go Hard Zacian. Hard Zacian's not that bad here, and set up a sub. That's not too bad here. Ooh, I guess I could go for that. I just don't want to give Aaron some free switches here, but I think I'm just gonna Protect and I'm gonna go Hard Zacian.
I have Play Rough right now. I could go for another Follow Me. Helping Hand also could work. Foul Play would just go into Mimikyu. I think I'm down for just Follow Me here, actually, into Play Rough on the Weavile.
I'm going to retreat here. I'm going to bring out my Zacian right here and protect Zapdos and try to sell out the Trick Room with sub Zacian right here. We do protect our Zapdos, as Follow Me is going to come out from NDD. It looks like no Expanding Force. Okay. Maybe they want to preserve the Mimikyu. They go for a Play Rough, which is cool, into the Zacian. No attack drop, please. Okay, nice.
I guess Zapdos could T-Bolt. Okay, Weavile switches out. Could be into Zacian. Nice switch. There's an angle in which now we... Well, actually, if you KO NDD here, you would give me a free switch in into... Okay, Zapdos protects, yeah. You'd give me a free switch in into Solgaleo, which isn't necessarily bad. I could have switched NDD out into Soul this last turn and gone for Self-Shadow Sneak, but it's a pretty aggressive play because if Foul Play goes into that slot, it's obviously really bad for me.
So I guess what I do here is I protect my Zacian, because I think NDD is also... Does Aaron hard switch out is my question. Because if he hard switch out, I want the attack pressure. But if he doesn't hard switch, then I want to protect and stall out this Trick Room efficiently. Let's find out.
Okay, Zapdos switches, so that's good. Because it means that I get the Solgaleo in for free, which is what I'm looking for here. Okay, and Zacian protects. So he's just, stalling out my Trick Room right now, but now I actually get Play Rough into Weavile, which is amazing. Because it means I can also Self-Shadow Sneak it to KO it next turn. And the thing is, Trick Room expiring isn't necessarily a bad thing for me because of the Scarf Groudon that I have in the back.
Oh. I could have went for sub. Dang it. That's not pretty. I do get to steal his safety goggles though, which sure, I'll take.
The problem is that if I lose both Pokemon, he gets Kyogre. Pickpocket, pretty interesting there, by the way. So I'm actually going to push the tempo a little bit. I'm going to switch into Solgaleo here and then go for Play Rough onto Weavile. Because if you knock out Mimikyu, okay, great. That's fine. I get a free switch into NDD.
Yeah, you can only KO to Weavile or you can taunt my Zacian here. The Trick Room's getting stalled out though, and at the end of the day, like, I can KO NDD on the last turn of Trick Room, and if I KO to NDD on the last turn of Trick Room, I feel pretty good about my position, so yeah, I don't mind this. Okay.
Yeah, Zacian didn't switch out here. So I could have gone for Follow Me to sacrifice the NDD there, but ooh, sub. Yeah, that's the other scary thing right now. And I had no way around the sub, right? Other than taunting, I suppose, but NDD here only has expanding force. That's the other part of the problem, by the way. If I had like Mystical Fire on NDD, I can at least hit the Weavile.
I wish I could have went for Behemoth Blade there, but I think sub is a pretty good play here, regardless. So yeah, get the sub up with my Zacian, and oh boy, these upcoming turns can be scary. Let's bring out our Kyogre. I can draw off just Water Spout and dish out a lot of damage. I guess Zapdos is kind of okay though. Yeah, I think Zapdos is probably okay.
Okay, actually I'm down to just Max Quake Zacian and get the policy going on Solgaleo. And if he like protects here, it punishes him really heavily.
I think I airstreamed the Mimikyu, should pick up the knockout Mimikyu, and I think I throw off a Sacred Sword into the Solgaleo, because it's not Rockfall into Solgaleo. If it was Rockfall into Solgaleo, then yeah, it's going to be tough. I don't think it was Rockfall.
Because getting a special defense boost here is so important in dealing with Zapdos plus Kyogre in the endgame. The other thing to note is that Solgaleo is faster than that Kyogre, but Zapdos can airstream it. If Zapdos gets an airstream off, then you can outspeed my Groudon, airstream the Groudon, and Kyogre can outspeed me as well.
Solgaleo is now boosted with +2. Can you knock on my Zapdos is the question? Because if you KO my Zapdos, I do lose. But yeah, they do go for the Max Quake, which is fair. Okay. Nice. So Zacian's going to be able to take that, which is really good. And now I can go for quite a few. I guess I should be Behemoth Blade the Mimikyu if that's the case. I should have airstreamed the Solgaleo and went for the Behemoth Blade into Mimikyu. Yeah, that's a better play, actually. Okay.
Okay, yeah, he's not going to protect either, which is the right play.
I would like Kyogre in more effectively. I still don't think they can KO me though. Sacred Sword into the Solgaleo, get some pretty good chip into the Solgaleo spot. Okay.
And unfortunately, without having Max Rockfall here, there's really not too much I can do to just like eliminate Zapdos immediately. But at least I can get a special defense boost here. And basically, like you can only go for one of Max Airstream or Flare right now. And we get a special defense boost too. Okay, yeah, he opts for Airstream, which I think is the right play. Doesn't KO Mimikyu though, which is pretty good. Thanks to the special defense boost. Okay.
I think I should have protected and went for a Behemoth Blade in the Mimikyu.
I don't think he's going to give me the option to set up Trick Room here, but if he does, it would actually just allow me to win the game immediately.
Whew, that's safer. I do get a substitute up with the Zacian in case they target the Zacian slot, and I do Airstream the Mimikyu. Unless the Mimikyu lives, which I don't think is the case. Yeah, I didn't think that would be the case. Okay, perfect. All right, that's really good here. That's really good here. So Mimikyu goes down. Perfect.
The only way I could have gotten around that was like lightning into Zapdos, but the thing is, if I just attack with Solg there and he doubles up into it, I would say I lose the game immediately. I guess the interesting thing here is if you never get a speed boost onto the Kyogre, then the Groudon will outpace you, but the Zacian will just outpace my Solgaleo.
Okay, I think I have to max guard them with Zapdos, right? My best play here is to max guard with Zapdos always. Because if they go for Helping Hand Max Lightning into Zapdos and pick up the knockout here, I think Helping Hand Max Lightning would definitely secure it here. If that's the case, then it would be Groudon versus Kyogre. Sure, I have to rain up, but then the Solgaleo could still win, I think, in the end game. I hope that this is the case. Helping Hand is going to come out. Okay. Perfect. I max guard here to prevent that situation, because I think his only out is to go for the Max Lightning KO into Zapdos. And this way I could focus down the Groudon here. I'm pretty sure. Here comes the Behemoth Blade into the Indy. Except the knockout. Beautiful.
Like, if I Quaked Zacian both times, I guess, then I would get a knockout onto that, and then I would have Groudon out. But then the thing is, yeah, I would get special defense boost that way, I guess. Sub was kind of a nightmare here as well to deal with. And I didn't really get Solgaleo under Trick Room, which was what I was looking for, and he did an excellent job stalling it out. So, like I said, I should have switched in Solgaleo a little bit quicker. And, like, the downside of Scarf Groudon is it doesn't really work out very well when your opponent has Speed Boost via Max Airstream, but I can't lead Groudon very easily here because the Weavile can just click Fake Out into it, right? And then the Foul Play... The Weavile was such a big issue for me here, where even knowing he's going to lead Weavile plus Zapdos, I just don't have a very easy answer into it.
It's like a really good chance I think I win this endgame because the Groudon can't protect, and I do outspeed and KO the Groudon with the double up because of the Airstream boost. But this Solgaleo is still actually pretty scary because of the fact that it just outspeeds my Kyogre in the back. I don't outspeed the Solgaleo in the endgame. I
guess you don't even need a Heat Wave. You could just T-Bolt and Sacred Sword the Solgaleo. So I can go for a double protect actually. Yeah, protect into blades here.
Could be scary. Solgaleo protects, so I think Aaron's going for days out. Yeah, okay. Hit the heat wave. Actually, I don't even have to hit the heat wave anymore because the Groudon can only break my sub. Oh wait, no, I could still lose that end game. Yeah. All right, Behemoth Blade into the Groudon. Nice, and then I heat wave the Groudon right here. Does this even pick up the knockout? Actually, I mean, Life Orb in the Sun. I think it does. Yeah. Okay.
But he does go for heat wave. Okay. Even if he missed the one on Groudon, I don't think it makes too much of a difference. Yeah, sub was just really strong here. And I guess I needed to target the Solgaleo a little bit more, but the thing is I also needed damage on a Zapdos, which was such a nightmare here. And it took me so much just to set up Trick Room, but it's like I can't even really operate with Groudon under Trick Room either. So, yeah. GG's.
And battle's going to be forfeited. Oh, man. I thought that matchup was going to be a lot worse. I was really scared of like soul stuff max quaking early because I couldn't damage the Zacian with the max quakes because it's just really difficult for me to. So I felt like, oh, like you can max quake the Weavile, put on the pressure, and yeah, then like you could sell on my max pretty easily with max quake, and then it would be pretty difficult with the Scarf Groudon. I have to play around generally. And yeah, I was trying to figure out how I positioned that, but luckily I think with the Trick Room, I think I was able to stall out effectively. The thing is about hard Trick Room with the passive lead is if I left them alone on the field, then they can't do much. And I think like Aaron was like debating about, do I target into those slots? Because if I target and go for the attacks right there, then and catch the switch, then it's really bad for him because I get a knockout or a huge amount of damage, which is not exactly ideal in that position, especially the Solgaleo. That's the win con. And Groudon with Scarf is just awkward in that situation. So luckily I was able to stall out the Trick Room efficiently. But yeah, we'll be talking about, I guess, our in-game thoughts in just a little bit.
Weavile and Zapdos was just a nightmare lead here, and James played the second game really nicely as well. And it was like fake, because the idea with the lead initially was like, okay, I can... it's also like Charizard speed time with Zapdos makes things such a nightmare as well, because even if I Airstream, like the Weavile can just Icy Wind me as well. And I can't really reliably go with Whimsicott other than if I go Wind plus Charizard and double protect, but then Zapdos is a nightmare. One other approach I could have taken was like baiting an electric type attack into Charizard and then switching it out. Or basically like the turn that he clicks like Max Lightning, I bring in Groudon, or I read him into Max Airstreaming and then just attack with the Charizard anyway. So Weavile, Charizard, Groudon, Solgaleo is another approach. But Solgaleo on paper is really good here if they don't have Weavile. But Weavile makes it so that I just can't comfortably like get the weakness policy set up at any point, unfortunately. Because I can't go with either weakness policy setups in Groudon or the Mimikyu. So the better approach in this one would have been to just pivot Solgaleo in maybe turn 2 or turn 3 of the battle. But yeah, I think James and I are actually going to get on a call and just briefly talk about that set.
All right, good games, Aaron.
Good games, man. That Weavile was that Weavile Zapdos lead specifically was a nightmare to deal with, and I thought you played game 2 super well, like the way you stalled out Trick Room as well. But I was talking about it from my perspective in the battle, and I was like, this is funny because like this team was built for a tournament where basically Weavile was not on my radar at all. And like foul play was already a pretty scary move, but I figured the only foul play I'd really see was from Eviltal. And your Weavile here, just like the moveset was so scary to deal with, especially because the Fake Tears allows you to one-shot the Entity as well. And then like the speed tie between Charizard and Zapdos was also really scary.
Yeah, I was actually really like, I thought the matchup was actually quite different because I was more scared of your Solgaleo more than anything. I like how I thought the matchup would be envisioned is you would go for like max quakes against my Weavile. You'd probably pick up the knockout. I can't really like, I can probably pick up one quick knockout with a Fake Tears combination, but breaking through your soul is just like super difficult, I think, with just like quake boost in general. And I thought, okay, then the Scarf Ground is going to come in and then I'm just going to have a really tough time because I'm just going to have a nightmare of dealing damage to the Solgaleo if it's under the sun with the max quake boost. So I thought that was going to be really difficult. And then you ended up bringing something completely different game 1 with Charizard. And the Charizard, I was like, wait, am I losing this like on turn 2? Because I thought it was like, okay, I'm going to Fake Tears Airstream the Charizard. It covers the Groudon switch on both sides. And at the worst case, I have to risk a speed tie here into the Zard. And then I thought, do you have Whimsicott in the back? Because if you had Whimsicott in the back, I was like, oh my God, this is a nightmare. And then when I saw the Soul, I'm like, wait, this is manageable.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting because like I basically was really hesitant on leading Solgaleo because the Weavile being able to fake out to prevent like for example, if I go Mimikyu plus Solg and I activate the policy, then you could just foul play me. And if I went with Groudon plus Solg, you could just fake out the Groudon turn 1, right? And then Airstream. So, like, while I would be able to get a boost up, like, not having the policy makes dealing with Zapdos really scary. But I think one interesting approach is, like, what you were saying, maybe bring Solg and max it, but just, like, don't activate the policy so that you can't just, like, foul play to knock me out. So, the idea behind Indeedee and Charizard was, one, like, I wasn't too sure what you would lead with in game 1. And so the idea of being able to, like, Airstream while Indeedee would protect Charizard, and like ideally get speed boosts up so that I can handle like the Charizard and Kyogre later on. Like I think Weavile Zapdos was just such a consistent lead for you that it made so much sense. But going into game 1, I like wasn't sure or confident you would lead that. So I wanted to have something like a cover for everything. And yeah, it's just knowing Weavile's moveset here was really scary. And it's interesting because I think Solg actually has a really good matchup on paper, but I was just so hesitant in leading it here because of the Weavile having Sash and the foul play combo.
Yeah, and I think that's also a thing because we played basically how, you know, if we were at a regionals and we were playing like the top cut, we knew like each other's sets basically. And then there's like another layer of mind games to it where you knew my move sets. I knew a lot of your move sets. And it was just kind of committing to like what we expect and how we play against each other, because it definitely plays differently. Because obviously if we played in a best of one or like game 1 situation where I don't know your sets and you don't know my sets, it could be a completely different game, right? So I think that's always the interesting thing about like the difference between the top 8 at a regionals and a day 1 of Swiss.
For sure, yeah. I think if I were to reapproach this set, I would probably do my best to like try to mitigate the early game Dynamax. So I was like, it made no sense for you to Dynamax on turn 1 of game 2, but I was like, if he does, like, he's in such a bad spot, right? Because it's like, I'll waste the Dynamax, and Solgaleo will really get to go from there. But I think, like, the way you approach the early turns when Trick Room went up was really smart, and there's never a need to Dynamax against Mimikyu and Indeedee because it's just such a passive combination that has no damage output whatsoever, which is one of the downsides of when you know, really try to get Trick Room up. So it'd be interesting to, like, try to stall out Trick Room, try to stall out your Dynamax, but I thought Weavile plus Zapdos was just, like, such an oppressive combination here that I didn't have too many, like, safe ways to just, like, reliably do that, especially because you had the fake tears on the Weavile as well. So Whimsicott's a Pokemon I didn't even bring out, but could have been a good factor here. I was just trying to figure out how I could actually like get Tailwind set up, but also eliminate your Zapdos so it can't just one-shot, you know, like my Charizard, for example. And then like Solgaleo is interesting because it doesn't take that much damage from the Zapdos, but then it's like, if I set up Tailwind, I still have to deal with the Focus Sash on Weavile, and it's like, even if it has 1 HP, if it gets a foul play off into the Solgaleo, it's a really big problem. So trying to like maneuver around all of that was tricky, and you just had this like really good lead and executed it very nicely in both games.
Yeah, I do like the Weavile tech. This team was
so good.
based on this team was based on the Persian team that got that did really well. You know, because you got rank 1 with the team, but yeah, I really do like the Weavile edition. It was pretty much a very similar team. Of course, I did change it to have Ditto and Indeedee, but the same core I basically took. And it's just a really strong combination because foul play is just really nice to have. I was considering changing the moves to maybe like triple axle or throw shot, but I thought I'd just like stick with what it knows, and foul play is just really good to break, like for instance, Zacian subs, which is really cool. And yeah, this was one of the teams I definitely considered to bring if I was going to Salt Lake City. And yeah, I played with it in the International Challenge. I got 1800 with it and was streaming with it, and it's a fun team regardless. And yeah, the matchup again could have gone either way, but there were definitely like so many different layers of what we could have brought.
Yeah, so much depth for sure. I think because I was like, okay, if he doesn't have Weavile, if you remove that from Team Preview and it's like an Instant or a Rillaboom, I'm like, oh, okay, like I'm really well equipped to deal with these teams. But the Weavile adds like a whole like wild card factor to everything, and it's suddenly like, whoa, like playing against a Pokemon that I have no experience against, but also has a pretty favorable matchup into a lot of stuff here is just like a nightmare. But you also like, I think, executed it like perfectly, which was impressive to watch.
For sure. But this was definitely a fun set regardless. Like there were definitely like, even though like the Zapdos was really convincing to match up, like one wrong turn, like if I played one bad turn, like if I KO'd your Indeedee like quicker, if like I didn't protect or max guard my Zapdos on that one turn, definitely could have still gone the other way. That's the thing about this format where we talked about before, one turn makes a difference, and I just had to basically like prevent that one turn basically. And yeah, I was thinking like so much about like what position does he have under Trick Room? Does he hard switch it now? Because I was like debating if you're going to hard switch or not, and do I commit to it?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that was just something difficult. But yeah, always glad to have a fun set with you, Aaron. This was definitely a good one, and trying out a bit more of our teams that I think we have more knowledge about is definitely a cool one.
For sure. Yeah, so that's going to be it for this exhibition battle, guys. Thank you so much as always for watching. Let us know what you want. What rule sets you really want to see us take on in Series 12 next time. I think, as I mentioned, we're looking at using maybe more unorthodox restricted Pokemon and, you know, creating some artificial ban lists. So let us know what you want in the comment section below. Thanks so much for watching, and I think having the post-game insights is also really fun just to kind of dissect, you know, how we both approach the game. So, yeah, props to James, and special props to his Weavile, which I absolutely now realize I hate going up against.